although there were warnings that I frankly wasn't aware of, although there were warnings, I think our preparation was...
Los Angeles, the city of angels, the home of Hollywood glamour, the site of the 2028 Olympics, is telling many of its citizens, just flee. Flee. Because it does not have the power or the water that they need to stay safe. But the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, is now finally back from Ghana. Joe Biden sent her there for the inaugural... Like, who gives a crap? Why is the LA mayor going to Ghana for some political event? What in the actual ass?
Recently, Megyn Kelly dropped a bombshell that could shake City Hall, leaving Karen Bass scrambling for the nearest exit after a sudden moment of unfiltered honesty. 1 minute she's preaching transparency, the next she's twisting narratives in ways that would make even a gymnastics champion blink. So what was Karen caught up in this time? It's complicated and messy. Even with the evidence out in the open and cameras rolling, Megyn wasn't impressed by any attempts at spin.
Something. The warnings about these Santa Ana winds being worse than normal and bringing a grave threat were all over the place. You look back at the LA Times now, for days prior to this event, they were jumping up and down saying, this actually could get really bad. And she's over there in Ghana for the ceremonial. What? Why? Get your ass back home.
But Megyn Kelly thought otherwise. A normal day of speeches, smiles, and carefully thought-out moments quickly turned into a full-fledged spectacle. Los Angeles could have seemed peaceful from the outside, but Megyn showed up without any problems, with receipts in hand, iced coffee ready, and that characteristic smile that indicated something important was going to happen.
Cruz, fleeing Texas in the middle of a deadly crisis, is part of a larger pattern of the GOP abandoning folks in crisis. We need to build a movement to kick them all out. Well, how'd that one go, madam? Is that part of your pattern on your team to abandon folks during a crisis? I mean, I realize you sent a couple of tweets, but in this kind of situation, people like to see and hear from their leaders. And you were in Ghana enjoying yourself.
It all started with something small. One of those little political errors that most people believe will go unrecorded. But not at this moment. There will always be those brief times when no one gives a damn. Specifically, when Megyn Kelly's radar goes off near treasure like a metal detector. Bass's calm, composed manner suddenly began to waver. Her trust faltered like a poor Wi-Fi signal during a storm. The drama only got more intense as what had seemed peaceful started to fall apart in front of everyone.
I just was saddened by it, honestly, because I think that response was beneath him. And he was in my office a couple of weeks ago. We're working on something. We're working on a couple of things together. But I think that he is sad and bitter. And I think that it is really sad to exploit. You guys laughing about that? I feel like it's exploiting tragedy. It's exploiting grief. And this is when the city needs to...
Karen Bass portrayed herself for years as the calm, steady voice that guided Los Angeles through all of its storms. She made a name for herself as the unwavering mayor who was composed and in command at all times. But it seems that the same steady image she bragged about may have collapsed under a mountain of flimsy explanations, difficult explanations, and one really inconvenient revelation that tore straight through her carefully crafted persona.
Got ICE and Tom Homan's team trying to clean up MacArthur Park. This is your home state, Cannon? And your lovely mayor, Karen Bass, goes out there not to say, thank you, it's riddled with MS-13. Literally no children ever play here because they could get shot. It's become a place where illegal immigrants go to get false IDs and try not to get killed by MS-13. She calls up the head of CPB out there and says, get out! Don't come here. We don't want you. In response to which that guy says, I don't...
She doesn't let headlines set the limits. Instead, she digs into the hidden documents and overlooked details buried beneath layers of polished PR. This time, she uncovered something Karen Bass likely hoped would stay hidden, and it didn't survive. It wasn't a minor slip. Anyone witnessing the full "how did you think you'd get away with that" moment had to wonder whether politicians ever paused to examine themselves before trying to rewrite history. While Los Angeles wrestled with potholes and confusion, Karen was tangled up in managing appearances. Twisted optics that left people squinting and asking, wait, what? Once a supposed champion of integrity and accountability, her PR fade crumbled faster than a phone dropped into a blender.
She finally holds a presser, and it was a complete disaster. First of all, before I get to the truly disastrous part, listen to her describing herself. Like, I basically got on the back of Superman to come home. Take a listen to this out, too.
I've been in constant contact with our fire commanders, with county, state, and federal officials. I took the fastest route back, which included being on a military plane, which facilitated our communications. So I was able to be on the phone the entire time of the flight.
Once the crowd saw it, there was no turning back. They were able to capture everything. The awkward stillness, the little double take, and the smirk all yelled. Did she just admit that? When everything was made public, social media went bananas. After an awards ceremony, videos go viral faster than celebrity apologies. Everyone became an investigator all of a sudden. People who had not given politics any attention in years were rewinding video, analyzing tone, and comparing interviews as if it were a true crime series. Karen Bass became the talk of the town in the missing accountability case. When you're caught doing the very thing you've been fighting against, it's like a fitness instructor caught eating a cheeseburger in the middle of a marathon.
This is rude home. Are we supposed to be giving credit for the fact that she didn't book too many layovers? This is an absurd person. And you don't have to take my word for it in response to that inanity you just heard. Listen to the mayor. In her time of crisis, her city's time of massive crisis, in directing people where to go if they need information, which they do because their houses are burning and their family members, in at least 5 cases, are dying. Listen to this.
You could pause the scene at any moment and see the expression every politician makes when their body language betrays their words. Megyn's dissection was sharp and precise, cutting through excuses with a surgical calm. She laid out plain facts that essentially dared anyone to try spinning them without raising her voice or adding theatrics. That restraint was the best part. The absurdity didn't need extra flair. In politics, someone can be caught red-handed and still claim it's not red, it's the lighting. As she said, recalculating integrity, Karen's reactions grew increasingly tangled, twisting like a confused GPS. It was almost artistic how predictable it all was. Denial, feigned confusion, promises of reform, enough to set your watch by. But this time, Megyn refused to let it slide, applying relentless pressure and stripping away layer after layer until all that remained was pure, undeniable guilt.
Karen Bass was, she's in this spirited competition with Brandon Johnson, who can be the most ineffective mayor. It's impressive, really.
Yeah.
In its way.
Dark horse coming up the third position in the lane, possible Zoran Mamdani. He's running.
The Big Apple. She was a member of the House for a long time and kind of generally well-liked, pleasant person, not considered a heavyweight. And when she ran for mayor, I remember being surprised. She had no executive authority. I didn't think she'd win. She did.
The fallout was immediate. Commentators, experts, and even late-night hosts circled like predators spotting a feast. Every clip was replayed, every contradiction highlighted, and every defense analyzed in painstaking slow motion so no detail could escape notice. Karen tried to hold a press conference, but it was as if she were sinking in quicksand, every word pulling her deeper. She resorted to the usual playbook, pointing to accomplishments and professing devotion to the people, but no amount of diversion could match Megyn's laser-sharp focus. The spotlight stayed fixed until the story's end, making it clear that politicians should never try to outsmart a journalist who thrives on spotting inconsistencies. Megyn made the situation both hilarious and unnerving, leaving the audience laughing while questioning everything they thought they knew. This was far more than reporting. It was theater.
Team, they literally are killing your citizens and getting people addicted to drugs, like innocent Americans. And you're on the side of the dog poop. Like somebody who came through and said, I'm going to clean up all the dog poop so the children can play and they don't have to deal with it anymore. And the mayor came out and said, the dog poop stays. Step away. This is the position she's taking. And it's not just her. You're right. Zoran Mamdani, who's likely to be our next mayor in New York City, is having this clash right now with the sitting mayor, Eric Adams, where Mamdani is saying, I will not work with ICE. I will not funnel any illegals to ICE's way, even if there is a federal detainee.
Some argued she hadn't meant it that way. Others speculated that Megyn might have misinterpreted her, but the evidence spoke for itself. It left little room for doubt. Watching Karen's follow-up interview was almost painful. She smiled, acting as if everything were fine, yet the tension was obvious. With the original footage already seen by everyone, every attempt at distraction only made her look more vulnerable. The confessionals were live this time. No edits could soften the reality. It was reality TV transformed into political drama. By midweek, the internet had erupted. Memes, screenshots, and remixes flooded every feed. The city might as well have been saying, "Thanks for the entertainment we're watching." Amid the chaos, something shifted. Rather than fading away with press releases, people began asking tougher, lingering questions, the kind that stick every time Karen appears in the spotlight.
Out there, and Trump picks a fight with Mayor Karen Bass, which was absolutely beautiful. This soundbite's a little long, but watch it play out. They're arguing over how long it's going to take to clean up the fire damage in places like the Pacific Palisades, so people can get back on their properties and get what might still be there, which there is in some cases, some debris that's salvageable. See the damage, survey what's left so they can figure out their next move. None of that's being allowed. Watch.
But we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe. We want you to be back in your homes immediately.
Megyn Kelly's takedown was not intended to be humiliating. It was about irony-cloaked responsibility that heightened the reality's effect. She didn't need to scream or offend anyone. She simply gave the details, how harsh those realities were. It was evident from Karen's faked reactions, her forced grin, and her desperate attempts to contain the story after it had already gotten out. Once someone urinates behind the curtain, you can't simply close it and pretend nothing occurred. You could almost hear her campaign team groaning as they realized the reality. It wasn't merely a bad moment. It was a crucial time.
To be the mayor of Los Angeles. She is too stupid to be in public office. You failed, madam. You failed. You failed to prepare for the crisis. And then when your country and your city needed you, what did you do? Oh, you took the fastest route home with no layovers on a military plane? Great. And when you got there, you were too dumb to realize that URL was a placeholder and then to actually look to your team and say, what is the URL? What is the web address? You are a moron. And I am sorry for our friends in Los Angeles who don't deserve this. I realize they voted for this woman, but I'm going to assume they thought she had two nickels to rub together in between her ears.
The leader found herself entangled in her own contradictions after promising total transparency, and the reporter exposing it didn't even have to try hard. This went far beyond criticizing Karen Bass. It highlighted the endless cycle of politics, power, spin, exposure, and denial. Megyn Kelly simply held up a mirror, reflecting an uncomfortably honest truth. This wasn't just another scandal. It was a reminder that no matter how rehearsed the lines or polished the image, reality has a way of slipping through. Sometimes it walks calmly into a studio, takes a seat across from Megyn, and says, "Good evening." Other times, it storms in. Karen may survive the controversy, as politicians often do, but reclaiming her reputation will be far tougher.
California is these mealy-mouthed, kale-eating, broccoli-pushing, Birkstock, whatever, wearing politicians who can't find another person fast enough to blame. My absolute favorite, though, is the fire chief. She's growing on me. When she's not focusing on her lesbianism, she's actually quite fierce. She is not going down without bringing Mayor Karen Bass with her. And
by the time the headlines faded, Karen was deep into her lesson learned phase, launching a public apology tour straight out of a politician's playbook. Suddenly, transparency was her mantra again, with press conferences delivered like a nervous student retaking a test they swore they'd pass. The public smiled politely, but everyone already knew the truth. They'd seen this movie before. Meanwhile, Megyn had already moved on, raising an eyebrow just enough to signal what would come next. When you're the one exposing inconsistencies, you don't need fanfare. The replay button does it for you. Karen kept grinning, shaking hands, and promising to rebuild trust. Yet the lingering smirk Megyn left behind haunted every photo op, the kind of sly expression that silently says, "Remember the receipts." In a city obsessed with perfection, it's quietly satisfying to watch someone trip over their own PR script. Megyn didn't just confront her, she reminded everyone that no slogan, no spin can hide the truth. especially when it's captured on camera.